Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sequoia Lending. And if you just joined us today, if this is the first time that you join us, Sequoia is a commercial lending platform. We have many commercial products to service our client, whether it's ranging from a few $1,000s working capital loan all the way up to hundreds of millions of dollars of construction loans. So anything in between, working capitals, equipment loans, purchasing businesses, fix and flips, developments, warehouses, you name it. As long as the project makes sense, we have the funding source for your client. And better yet, by joining our platform, you become one of our loan consultant, and you can go out there and utilize our platform to service your client. And this is not a nickel and dime business, ladies and gentlemen. What we are trying to do right here is to disrupt the commercial lending industry. What we see out there is that there's so much people need funding, and there are so many lenders that who has money, but unfortunately the two groups do not talk to each other. That is what Sequoia is all about. We are in the middle, connecting the right money with the right project. Not only that we're funding businesses, but on our platform we're adding more and more products to our platform, so that you as an agent can service your client in much wider, a bigger scale. So before I introduce the main speaker today, I just want to make two announcements. Okay, two announcements. Announcement number one: when you have time, go to your product page. You will see there are 3 new scenario form added to our platform. Okay, there are 3 new scenario form added to our platform. The first one is what I call the term loan. Now, as you know, in business loan, either you have working capital, or you have equipment loans, or you have cash advance, so on and so forth. But now we added a term loan. Term loan is not an SBA loan. It's a 2-year to 5-year term. Much easier to underwrite, much less paperwork, but however, they do require something a little bit different. So I would suggest you to go into the product page to look to get yourself familiarized with the term loan. The second product, which we are going to be talking about today, is called MICAR, M-I-C-A-R, Medical Insurance Claim Account Receivable. So that scenario form is up already. I'm not going to talk too much about it because today's our 2 main speaker is going to dive deep into this particular product tonight. And then the last one is what we call workers' comp. So again, that one is going to be next Wednesday night. Okay, if you want to know those 2 products, pay attention tonight and also for next week. So that is the first announcement that I want to make tonight. Now, the second announcement, as you know, we are traveling from city to city to expand our network, to let people know about our commercial lending platform through Sequoia. So currently right now, I'm actually in New York. The reason that we do not advertise this particular event is because this time in New York, we're specifically talking to a group of Chinese realtors right here. So we'll be talking about it in Chinese. Unless you speak Chinese, feel free to join us. Okay. So we are here in New York. 2 weeks from now, October 21st, we will be in Houston, Texas, and you should already receive flyers, marketing materials, whatever that might be, talk about Houston. So if you can come join us, please, we would love to see you there. If you cannot join us, please let your friend know that we have that meeting in Houston, Texas. So again, that is in October 21st. And that meeting, we invited one of our advisor, Jason, Mr. Jason Song, is going to be there talking about what's happening in the market today. And also he will unveil the certification class for Sequoia Lending. So if you want to meet us, welcome to Houston. Okay. So that's all I have, because today we have one of the most important product that I personally see is going to revolutionize Sequoia and put us onto the next level. And also our agents, when you tap into this product, it's a guarantee sell if you talk to the right person, and the commission is beautiful. So I don't want to ruin the show. Here, I would like to introduce a very good friend of mine, our partner, Daniel Herzberg, and also his partner, Mr. Patty Diggins. Guys, the floor is yours.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Alan. What a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to share with you guys today an amazing opportunity. Now, the first thing I just want to kind of mention here is that a lot of times in business, you get paid, but you have to make some kind of, sometimes there can be some, it can be morally taxing. If you're providing a certain service, sometimes you might feel like maybe you have to always consider you're looking out for the right side, that you're representing your clients properly and everything. This particular value proposition that we're going to be talking about today is all about doing the right thing. Okay, so I really want to emphasize that this is a great way to, I'm going to kind of share my slide here with you because I want to kind of start to run through this a little bit with you guys. So today we're going to talk about getting paid for doing good. Okay, and the program is called Medical Insurance Claims Account Receivable Recovery. And you can just, the simple way of referring to this is just MICAR recovery. So medical insurance claims accounts receivable. And we'll be talking about the recovery of those claims. And so it'll be me and Patty Deegan on the call. So let's talk about this. So first of all, our company, RCM Matter. Patty, can you give a bit of background about the company? Just you're a senior partner with the group. So if you can maybe explain a little bit more about the company. Patty, you're there? Let's see. I'll just go into it. So basically, let me just give kind of an overview here. So RCM Matter is basically a strategic partner in.
Sorry, I was muted.
There we go. Hey, jump on, Patty. So if you can give it back.
Okay.
Let me just kind of frame it here. So RCM Matter is really basically the strategic partner for medical offices, and we are your strategic partner in medical practice optimization services. That's the overview. So Patty, could you maybe explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. RCM Matter is revenue cycle management. Many of you won't be familiar with that. It's the full cycle of revenue in any type of healthcare facility, which is more than just doctors. RCM Matter is owned by a tech company. And the reason that's important is we do utilize AI. A lot of companies claim to, but they don't. We do. And that's part of my background. I have a PhD in computer science. We are very heavily vested in tech. So the way we do things is absolutely state-of-the-art, automated, and other companies can't claim that. We're the second largest in the industry, but we do things in a very unique, novel way. So you've got the right people on the call with you. So understand the foundation is there. So Daniel, go through the opportunity.
Sounds good. So again, just to kind of go into this a little bit more, RCM Matter is the leading medical revenue cycle management company in the US. We offer a comprehensive product of fully integrated clinical revenue cycle credentialing, medical billing and coding transcription, data management, and practice management solutions. Some of that may be a little overwhelming. We just want you to know that we can do a lot more than what the specific services that we're talking about tonight. The key thing we'll be talking about tonight is that the MICAR we have other things to help take care of clients to deliver value above and beyond that as well. So we're going to be talking tonight about an audit that we provide that helps physicians to identify the potential weaknesses within their current medical billing process, giving really kind of a bird's eye view that enables medical practices to eliminate revenue leakages and streamline their cash flow. So basically what we say is let RCM Matter help you improve the practice performance with our medical billing, practice management, and electronic documentation products and services. RCM Matter will work with your organization to tailor a total workflow solution that meets your business's growing and evolving needs. So we really provide an array of services here. But what I want to really emphasize here is that today is we're going to be talking about the accounts receivable solutions. Okay, and it's important to understand that the average medical practitioner, I don't mean medical office, I mean practitioner. If there's multiple practitioners in one location, we're talking about per practitioner. The average practitioner is literally sitting on somewhere between $500,000 to $600,000 in unpaid, unclaimed medical accounts receivable. These are not to the patients, but this is to their insurance carriers who they have contracted with and who are supposed to pay them, and they don't. So the doctors deliver the services, but they're not getting paid for their services. And this represents an enormous opportunity for you, okay? So basically, let's talk about this. Healthcare providers face pressure and challenges like long receivable cycles, causing delayed revenue, exhausted billing teams, and unstable cash flow. So outsourcing accounts receivable follow-up services to RCM Matter can reduce the costs and improve revenue by streamlining the accounts receivable process and following up on outstanding claims. So our team of skilled professionals specializes in managing the accounts receivable process and follow up on outstanding claims. So we'll work diligently to ensure that our clients' medical billing processes are as efficient and as effective as possible. So by partnering with us, healthcare providers can rest assured that their AR processes are in good hands, okay? So let's talk about really the size of this opportunity. So this is a massive untapped market opportunity. It's an ethical blue ocean opportunity with essentially no competition, okay? It impacts nearly 18% of the entire US economy. So let that sink in for a moment, okay? 18% of the entire US economy with opportunities in literally every single community nationwide. There are everyday smaller deals and large deals all over the place. There's small, medium, and large deals. The opportunities they're open with solo practitioners, multi-provider offices, and even hospitals. The key thing we want you to know is that many of these providers who themselves are helping patients, so they're the healers for our society, right? They're suffering, okay? You can help them, help the healers, and get paid for it, okay? So we want to help them to get out of debt. Many medical providers are buried under the weight of equipment leases and loans. We can help them make a dent in, or even in many cases, even sunset many of these financial commitments. And this is even if they're behind in their payments. We can also help medical providers to substantially reduce or even eliminate significant professional and even personal debt like student loans. We'll talk some more about that later on as well. So I want to emphasize here, this is your chance to be Robin Hood to your local medical practitioners, okay? And I don't mean just doctors. We'll talk about a number of different professionals within that sphere of medical practitioners, but you can help make your local medical providers sustainable, more profitable, and even improve their business and personal credit in many cases. And in the process, you can make healthy commissions. If you refer over a simple qualified lead to a decision maker, to us, it can earn you significant commission within the Sequoia commission schedule. It also, the added value here we want to emphasize is this can open all kinds of new doors for you. It's a great way of just delivering value right up front without any out-of-pocket upfront cost. It's a great way to start a relationship with a medical business. And maybe there's other products and services that can come in that we'll look at as well. So the other thing to emphasize is we do all the heavy lifting. Okay, we have an extensive team that will meet individually online with your qualified referrals. Once we have them on board with a signed agreement, our experts will do a thorough complimentary review, which is normally $5,000 of their existing billing to identify unclaimed medical insurance claims, compliance issues that must be addressed, and suggested improvements to boost value. So I want to emphasize this. This is a $5,000 value that you have to give, and you're not asking for a check from them. We're providing value to them so they can understand their own practice better and then unlock significant capital for them. Okay, now this other really good news. You can start this today. You can start this in theory tonight, okay? There's no additional license needed for this. And the average gross Sequoia gross commission is $5K, okay? Now, that's just on an average practice. If there's 2 doctors in that office, that could be double that, right? So now we'll never know until we get into it. You'll find as you begin talking to providers that some providers are very on it and they're very dialed in, and they're a lot more on top of their own billing. Most are not. There's a lot of medical practices that are cobbled together with duct tape. Okay, so there's going to be a wide array in terms of the commissions here, depending on who you're talking to. But smooth out across all of those. Our average gross Sequoia commission for a single provider is $5K. Okay, now let's talk about who we service. The best medical targets in general are going to be physicians, and they're specifically within certain areas. So we have like dermatology. There are also high volume practices, things like OBGYNs, radiology, plastic surgery, especially areas like accident and cancer reconstruction. There are rehab docs as well as like physical therapists and rehab centers. Also addiction and mental health. These are all areas that are chronically underpaid. They provide these services to their clients, but they're just not paid fully for their claims. Also surgical, especially in-office surgical procedures. So for example, a colorectal surgeon in an office, in performing services in office is better as an opportunity for us than a colorectal surgeon in a hospital setting, okay? It'll also be much easier to kind of get through to because you won't have as any barriers to get past with the gatekeepers. Now, there's also lots of other excellent targets, okay? So there's more doctors. We've got optometrists, radiologists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, podiatrists, dentists who accept insurance, medical weight management doctors, urgent care facilities. And then there's a whole array of other practitioners who may actually be prospects or clients themselves, and they could also refer into some of these other providers as well. So for example, we have like nursing homes, home health aides, pharmacies, speech pathologists, sleep centers, medical and dental labs, midwives. Midwives are a great example because they work with OBGYNs. So if you get a midwife, that could open up, several OBGYNs who they work with. Opticians, audiologists, any type of physical therapist, mental health professionals, addiction counseling, nurses, especially nurse practitioners. Okay, these are all specialists who get chronically underpaid for the services that they provide. Okay, now also I want to cover some associated industries that could be really good industry context for you as you look at expanding this out. So the first is medical equipment financing companies who have medical practice accounts in default. Okay, so many doctors have, let's say they have equipment that may cost them anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million or more, and they take out significant debt to maintain those that equipment, but they often fall behind in their payments. So we can often pay off the financing company, and I'll also provide the doctor whatever remains. So it's really a win-win, right? Because the medical equipment financing company is getting paid off. They love this, as well as the doctors themselves, obviously, right? And the best of all, it's paid for by the insurance companies, who should be the ones paying in the first place because they're withholding funds from doctors and other healthcare providers. Another great associated industry are private equity companies specializing in medical practices. So these act as an easy way to add value without changing operations or making more sales. So if you think about it, these are companies that are always looking for ways to make their assets more valuable. And the easiest way to do this is just by taking their existing assets without making any more transactions, but just getting paid for what they're already providing and optimizing that, which we can help them to do. Another group are attorneys who specialize in workers' comp claims. So in fact, in many cases, the older or retiring attorneys are best because they may have lots of contacts in the workers' comp space. We can help doctors to collect on these workers' comp claims. The older or retiring attorneys are the best because they may be ready to kind of hand over some business that they don't really want to deal with anymore. Okay. CPAs and EAs with medical clients are fantastic. Now, here's a little insider thing. All CPAs and EAs are enrolled agents. So basically, they function the same way as CPAs, but they're licensed nationally rather than state by state. Pretty much all CPAs and EAs have medical clients. They all do, almost universally. Okay, so connecting with any CPAs or EAs can be just a huge boon to the client, to the CPA or EA, which is going to make them look like a rock star, and of course to you as well. Also, medical industry consultants of various kinds. They have existing clients, but generally speaking, since there's almost no one who provides the service that we provide in this space, there's basically no overlap with MICAR recovery. Okay, so these are some great opportunities between the financing companies, private equity, attorneys, accountants, and then medical industry consultants of various kinds. Now, what I'd like to just kind of hand over here for a moment to Patty to kind of talk a bit more about some of the different services we provide. We provide a variety of medical practice auditing services. And again, we're going to provide this at no cost upfront to the clients to identify what they actually have in place. But it's extensive work on our side to get this work done because there is a huge value proposition for us to help them get this done. So Patty, can you kind of walk through this one a little bit?
Sure, we do. And that's what revenue cycle management is. It's more than just collecting the money from insurance. Every doctor has to be credentialed, for example, and that's a painstaking process, takes a long time, costs a lot of money. We frequently do that for free. If we charge them, there would be a commission paid to you. We do medical virtual assistants. They're invaluable in a medical office because they're more cost effective. They don't have sick days. They don't have personality conflicts with other staff members because they work outside the office. That's the single fastest growing of medical practices is virtual assistants. We have an army of them. We can put them in a practice almost overnight. And so the point is, we do have a lot of ancillary products and services that we'll be able to explain in the future as we go down the road a little bit. And I wanted to mention something about attorneys, since I am one, is every doctor has on average about 1 3/4 attorneys. They have a corporate attorney, and a lot of them have a personal attorney. Not all of them. That's why there's 1 3/4. So if you know attorneys, talk to them. So I wanted to go back to that. Attorneys are a really good source. And what everybody's gonna find is when you put money into a doctor's pocket, he'll listen to everything else that you have to offer them.
Right.
It's extremely powerful and compelling, because once you put 2, 3, 4, 500,000, we have clients, small hospitals, that we've put 9 figures back into their coffers. But there's even the one medical practice, the first one I signed up, we put 18 million in their pocket. So imagine how much money that is. So I'll jump back in with some other thoughts in a moment, but I don't want to put Daniel off track.
No worries. Thanks, Patty. So so let's kind of continue on here for a moment. Just to kind of hit some of these main analysis services we have medical practice financial analysis audits. We will look at their fee schedules. We'll look at their overall revenue. Really, the goal here is to kind of help them to optimize what they provide. Okay, so many are not aware of how much they're sitting on. They're not aware of how much they're missing out on. And what I would say is that just be conscious of this conversation when you're talking with somebody who's sitting on so much unclaimed funds and they have no idea, and they've been doing it in many cases for many years, sometimes decades, right? This can be quite a humbling experience for them to realize just how much they're walking by, okay? But it's your job to come in and help them to kind of realize this and connect them with, so that they can begin accessing that. Okay, so next thing, let's just talk about results here. So RCM Matter delivers results. So most client, the average that we find here is a 21% average improvement in cash collections for our clients, and a 70% average reduction in denials. This is massive. So it's not unusual that a doctor's office will submit a claim and it gets rejected, and then they just submit it again and it gets rejected, and they submit it again and it gets rejected, and they say, well, I guess that's it. We just won't get paid for that, right? And so this is massive that we're able to actually help them to reduce those denials and collect on those things that they previously were just walking by. Okay, now let's talk about how the funds can be used. RCM Matter also offers a variety of medical practice auditing services. So I mentioned that before. We can basically help them to tap into various types of business. We can help them to use the funds to pay off various areas. So we talked before about business debt. It is not unusual for a doctor to have $1 million or more in business debt. Okay, that's for getting their practice up and running, set up with all the appropriate equipment that they need to run that. Many have substantial personal debt. The average doc has $85K in personal credit card debt and an average of $22K in annual debt servicing on that credit card debt. Okay, medical doctors have an average of $337,000 of debt upon graduation. It can take them 10 to 20 years to pay that off. Okay, so keep in mind that when you're talking to doctors, that you may be offering them a lifeline. I have a colleague who counsels doctors on physician burnout. And that's another way of saying keeping them from like killing themselves, because many of them are so overwhelmed and buried in the cost of debt and the expense of having gone through med school and carrying things on, that this is, they need counseling to keep themselves kind of in their head in the game. There's really no doctors for the doctors, right? The doctors are basically there to help people, but no one really helps them. So this is your chance to do that. So some other areas funds can be used would be to fund business expansion. This could be things like marketing, opening new locations, new equipment, software subscriptions, staffing, and consultants. These all require capital, okay? It can also, this will go direct to their bottom line as well, their personal bottom line. It can also impact the owner or practitioner compensation. So they can put those funds that they've recovered, they can put it towards 401ks, their own, or IRA funding, or capital split dollar programs, or insurance funding, or key man policies, funding buy-sell agreements. There's a whole raft of ways that they can kind of apply that so that they can actually further benefit themselves in the long run for retirement. We have some great solutions for that as well. MICAR recovery is basically free money without any strings attached, which is, in many cases, the biggest objection you're going to have here is this is almost too good to be true. Okay, so basically, it's free money without any strings. So now let's talk about where to begin. Okay, first of all, doctors are literally everywhere, and the best thing is they like to be called doctor. So it's relatively easy to find them because they'll tell you that they're a doctor. You can find them everywhere you go. So first of all, I would recommend you think about tapping into your existing clients and your downline, whatever organizations you have, your downline, other networks of agents that you have. Think about networking with your friends and family. You have your doctors and other healthcare providers, accountants and lawyers, social clubs and religious organizations, right, are great for networking. Conferences. Think about people who are really connected, like we have mentioned before, like, accountants, but think also about like real estate agents or loan officers or other centers of influence, right? You have other networks that you can kind of plug into. Fitness centers, meetup groups, golf courses, memberships, wine clubs. To just think about the doctors, again, and healthcare professionals represent 18% of the entire US economy. So literally, it's extremely easy to just bump into somebody and they work in the industry that could open up some opportunities for you. If you already happen to work in the healthcare space, if you have some connection with that, this could be a significant source of new capital for you for helping to turn them on to the savings and getting paid for the services they're already providing. Okay, let's talk about some door openers here. So these are the things that when you think about, we want to make this as accessible for you guys as possible. And so we distilled down a lot of what we provide down to just the core of what you need to know to really kind of pique their attention, get their interest going. The first one is, as we've been talking about, is MICAR recovery, which again represents medical insurance claims accounts receivable recovery, or just MICAR recovery. Now, keep in mind, when you say MICAR recovery to a doctor, they won't know what you're talking about. Okay, if you say, if you're talking about the medical insurance claims accounts receivable, they will know, and they may be very sensitive to that. Compliance is another area that you could kind of get into with them. Medical credentialing and medical virtual assisting. Okay, so these are 4 hot button areas that will activate and engage a lot of professionals to pay attention to what you have to say. So I wrote down here some key questions. So are you confident that you're getting fully paid on all of your insurance claims? Now, generally speaking, they may be confident, but you can pretty much almost be guaranteed that they are not getting fully paid on all of their insurance claims. That they would be the needle in the haystack nationwide if they were getting paid on all of their insurance claims. It's very, very unusual for them to have that kind of consistent success. So just as just a question to kind of provoke them a bit. So are you confident that you're getting fully paid on all of your insurance claims? Next one we have here is, are you confident your office is using fully compliant insurance billing processes? Again, this is rare that they are, and many are not confident that they're using fully compliant insurance billing processes. In fact, many medical offices do what the previous people who were there did, who do what the previous people who were there did. And so you often find this kind of generational knowledge being passed on through organizations, which means that it's not necessarily current. Okay, and so this is a great question that can kind of provoke them to engage with you. Another question you want to ask is, do you have any issues with medical credentialing? And generally speaking, in most cases, the answer is yes. In fact, you may find that asking about medical credentialing alone will provoke them to, kind of perk up and want to talk to you about this. So another key question, are you confident your practice staffing is efficient and cost effective? Okay, and again, this is another sore thumb for a lot of medical offices that they kind of know they're frustrated that their staffing is not getting everything done that they need to be getting done. It's not being efficient, it's not cost effective. Now, some offices are the exception to that, but the majority have issues in these areas. So these are 4 key questions that you could ask that could start a conversation with a medical practitioner. Okay, next one. This is critical. You want to talk only to the decision makers if you can. This is the goal. We will only talk to the decision makers. I'm not going to get into a conversation about somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, right? So the person that we're going to want to talk to, that when you send them over to us, will be the owner, and the owner may or may not be a doctor, okay, but the owner of that practice. The next would be a CEO or a COO or a CFO. These will typically be large parts of larger organizations. They could become as a medical group, or it could be of a hospital or something like that. But if you have a connection to a CEO, COO, or CFO, you'll have an opportunity to get their attention as well. A top doctor in an organization, somebody who's kind of senior in there, who's kind of a decision maker or influencer there, or a direct solo provider. So I remember I had the previous list of typical kind of healthcare providers that you might think about approaching. Now, just as important as thinking about who you should talk to, the decision makers only, is who not to talk to, okay? So you want to not get engaged with overly chatting up with front office staff, the office manager, the billing manager, or anybody who says the words, "I'll pass that message on." Okay, if they say, "I'll pass that message on," that means that's not going anywhere. Okay, in most cases. So your job is to get through to the owner, the CEO, COO, CFO, the top doctor, or a direct solo provider. Okay. Now, one key thing you can do to get through them is you don't show up and say, "I'd like to talk to Dr. Johnson," right? You ask for the decision maker by their first name. You say, "I'm here to talk with Bob." Okay, and they may say, about what? You say, "I need to talk with Bob." What's this about? Just say, I need to talk with him." Okay. You want to try and keep it on a first name basis, which means that when you contact, if you do contact somebody at work and you have to deal with one of their gatekeepers, you want to assume some familiarity and that there's a reason why they would want to talk to you. Okay. And if they ask you what's regarding, just say it's about some very important stuff we need to discuss. Okay? But don't get into the weeds, because whatever questions they're going to be asking you is going to be geared around finding a reason to put you off, not let you through to talk to the doctor. Okay. So next thing I want to cover here is I want to talk a little bit about the referral pathway here. So it explains to you what the process is going to look like when a referral is thrown over to us. Okay. So the Sequoia agent introduces the MICAR recovery to a decision maker, as we just talked about. The referral is then made in the Sequoia agent portal, and you want to have a meeting scheduled at that point. So you'll have a chance to input the information. The next screen is going to have a scheduling link, and you want to book time between your prospective client and our team. Okay. The next one is the client's going to receive 4 meeting confirmations by email and text. Okay, so they can't say they didn't hear about it. You're going to get repeated reminders the day before, the day of, and like 10 minutes before the meeting. Okay, so and they'll get the final one by text. They'll only get one message by text. The client will then meet with the RCM agent for the overview, answering questions. Those are largely going to be with me initially. We'll be bringing in more people in time, but at this stage, they'll be primarily with me. And the client is then going to agree to a complimentary assessment or analysis. And basically, they have to give system access info for our team of experts to do its investigation. So this can be a sticking point sometimes where they may withhold the system access for us to be able to proceed. But the key thing is we're providing them a service that normally would cost $5,000 for free. Okay, it's complimentary to them. So we do need to have, they agree to that, they give us permission to access that, and then our team will get underway with that. The next step is our team of experts takes 10 to 14 days to review and prepare the report. And then the client will meet with a team of analysts to review the results and then give their approval to go forward. And once they've done that, the team will begin their MICAR recovery, and the client's results will begin showing up after about 45 to 60 days. So that's the timeline. And it can take some time for the payments to come out, but that's the big picture there. Okay. The key thing here is that, again, we're not, the sale here is basically just getting permission to provide them a free analysis, which on its own has significant value. Okay, this is kind of an onboarding roadmap. So if you think about it, they give the authorization to do the analysis, we get the appropriate access info, our team conducts the analysis, the results are debriefed and quantified for any potential claims, and then we kick off the insurance collections, and then we have a go live date effectively at that point. Okay. Now, as we kind of begin to kind of wrap up here with this presentation, I want to also cover additional available services as part of our overall medical practice profit optimization. MICAR is one part of that. Okay, we can also do billing optimization, which translates to we can either supplement their existing billing or we can take it over. Okay, we can help them with medical credentialing, as I discussed earlier. We can help them with compliance. This is a major issue. Most are out of compliance on some level. Prepare them to be ready for an audit. We can also provide related operational improvements, suggestions for how they can operate more effectively and safely. We can also implement an affordable medical virtual assistant that can handle appointment setting, reminders, insurance verifications, pre-approvals, and other remote office work. These are essentially virtual front office assistants. Okay. We can also set up for them telemedicine and remote patient monitoring. These can be 2 significant sources of additional revenue for their company. We also have the most competitive procedure financing available, including pre-authorized procedure financing when combined with a medical virtual assistant, which means that when somebody calls in to book an appointment, we can actually get them there potentially, if they choose to kind of go there, we can actually integrate procedure financing with that booked appointment, so the doctor will know, especially if this is somebody who has to cash pay, what the quality of they'll know what the quality of the insurance is, but also whether or not that person, what the thresholds of what they can already afford, and if they're going to be good candidates, so they don't waste time meeting with somebody or spending extended time with somebody who can't actually afford services. We also provide practice marketing at a very affordable price, for generally speaking, for retail healthcare. So this is for those folks that need to actually market themselves versus those that are relying entirely upon like insurance contracts to drive patients to them. We also provide practice social media management at very affordable prices and specializing specifically in medical practices. So let's just talk about our difference here. Patty, could you kind of review the slide a little bit, just in terms of the overall value proposition that we provide when it comes to some of the key value here?
Yeah, I think, I'm trying to look at it from everyone's perspective that's on the call. And the first part is I want to remind everybody, healthcare is the largest industry in the country. It is now and has been. It's 15% of our gross domestic product. It's also the most heavily regulated industry, and that's where our opportunity is. It's regulated because people's lives are at stake. So I want to give you another statistic. I don't like to throw out statistics all the time, but 30% of claims that are submitted are never adjudicated by the insurance company. We could argue until the cows come home why that is. It doesn't matter. That's from the Medical Group Management Association. They are the go-to definitive source for medical practice management. 30% of claims. So if you go to the doctor and maybe you got an MRI and it was $1,000, there's a 30% chance that claim was never even looked at by the insurance company.
Yeah. So Patty, can I stop you there for 1 second? I want to clarify. Sure. The term adjudicated. That means they never respond.
Right. So
okay. A claim is submitted and it's basically ignored by the insurance company. That's 30% of all the claims that are submitted.
So we're dealing with a huge dollar number that we can all participate in. The next thing is that even after it's submitted by a practice or resubmitted, 65% of those are ignored. With our process, they don't get ignored. So there's a huge amount of money that we can all help generate and participate in and change our lives. And I also wanted to point out that everybody should just think about their life and where there's doctors in their life. Whatever you do in your spare time, there's doctors that are doing it. So it could be, you could be in a church group, synagogue, wine, wine tasting, food, that's very popular right now. Any type of meetup group, whatever you're in, whatever your passion is, cars, cigars. I'm in a cars and cigars group, so I mentioned both of those, and I don't smoke cigars. Had a bad experience years ago. I inhaled too much. And whatever you do in your spare time, doctors are there. And when it's a social event, it's a lot easier to talk to them. You can just say, hey, doc, do you have a couple minutes? I wanted to run something by you. And then you go through the questions that Daniel presented earlier. You'll be amazed how receptive they will be to you. Sometimes they'll say, thank God you're here. They recognize they have a problem. Now, if you talk to the billing manager, he or she isn't going to recognize that because they feel threatened. Maybe their job is in peril. So this is a lot easier than it seems because you have a solution to a problem in the biggest industry in this country. It is today, and it will be 10 years from now, and it was 10 years ago. And this solution is pretty rare, and it's a lot of money. When we do an analysis and we present it to the doctors and their staff, they're shocked, sometimes horrified, at how much money they're owed. And sometimes I'll play a game with them and ask them to guess. And then when they see the result, I had a doctor who I've consulted with for 20 years. He told me, Patty, if you want to waste your time, go ahead. I'm not owed anything. He's an entrepreneur and he's an MBA in addition to being a doctor. He was owed $18 million. Obviously, he's got a large practice. $18 million. And we can probably collect 10 million of that. And that was a guy that was certain he wasn't owed anything. So you have a solution that other people don't have. No matter what you're selling, you normally have a lot of competition. You don't with this. So keep those things in mind and think about your social life, what you do. If it's patchworking, well, you probably typically do that at home, but whatever you do socially, if you're in a hiking club, there's doctors in that club. And if there's an online membership directory, you'll see the doctors. It'll say DC, which is Doctor of Chiropractic, MD, DO, which is an osteopath. You can find audiologists. They're not doctors, but they bill medical insurance, acupuncturists. There's a lot of people, physical therapists. They're not doctors. They're easier to approach. Whatever your comfort level is, go with it. You know, we can't tell you what to do, because it's up to your own personality, your experience, your lifestyle. We can guide you. We can help you. We can close them. We can do all you have to do is turn them over to us. But think about your personal lives. And that's the biggest takeaway that I can tell you, because in each person's life, you interact with doctors and you might not even realize it.
And I want to really emphasize this here, that the major value proposition, the major value that you're bringing to us in this is to bring in people who are decision makers. Okay, so these may be personal friends. These may be, you know, your doctor, right? So you want to think about making sure you pass over people to us who are qualified people who can make decisions. And it's kind of, for that person, it's kind of a no-brainer decision. Why would they not want the free money for that? So I'm going to kind of wrap up here, and then I think we might have a couple minutes for Q&A. I'm not really sure where we're timing and stuff like that, but we have some follow-up services here. There's a few other little notes here. This just kind of provides a picture of the overall scope of services that we provide. Okay, so bookkeeping, intelligence reporting, and collection services, compliance services, digital marketing. We can provide various kinds of DME and HME home billing. There's a whole raft of services here: SEO, telehealth, remote patient monitoring. The gist of it is that it starts with getting the medical accounts receivable, and that's really the biggest hit that they can get, and it's the easiest sell to make. And this, again, kind of gives a summary of some of the other things that we have here and why we are the go-to for this. So basically, this is kind of a nice summary. With RCM Matter, you can effectively manage revenue cycles, reduce turnaround times, minimize overhead and other costs, while being compliant with industry standards such as HIPAA, investing in the right solutions, and maintaining the right expertise to manage and monitor your business initiatives. And I just want to say we look forward to working with you. So, Alan, if you want to kind of take it away, if we have time for questions, we can field some of those now, or if you have other items you want to cover.
Absolutely. Daniel, there is a question in the chat box. Can you take a look at it and help us answer?
Let's have a look at that. Hang on a second. All right. Oh, there's quite a few here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's see. You're welcome, Deborah. Yes, this is a phenomenal service. Thank you. So, Alan, great. Okay, what's our first question here? Okay, what is the approximate commission on something like that? I think, Alan, so the typical, I think I covered this earlier, that the typical gross commission per provider in an organization is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000. So that's going to go gross to Sequoia, and whatever is going to be distributed from there is going to be per your commission schedule with Sequoia.
Right. So the way it works is that Sequoia will get paid 2% referral fee on the loan amount. So if the loan amount is $500,000, 2% of that is $10,000. And now, how much you get paid? Please watch the Comp Plan 5.0 so that you know exactly how much you get paid. And also, if you have a team of advisors out there generating deals like this, again, please watch the Comp Plan 5.0 so that you know exactly what your override commission would be. And how fast we pay the commission. Once we receive the commission, let's say if we receive it on Monday, you will get paid that Friday, because we pay our commission every Friday. But if we receive the commission on Thursday, most likely you will get paid the next Friday.
Great.
And then
so, yeah. Sorry, did you want to say more about that, Alan?
No. I say there's another long question from Andrea.
Yeah, I see that here. It says, I work in hospitals around the country training doctors, nurses, and access workers. What should my approach be, and how can I avoid there being a conflict of interest? Is this STARC compliant? I'm not sure what that means, but is this STARC compliant? Okay. And can physicians refer other physicians? I may have said, okay, so she's worked with every discipline here. So Andrea, you're sitting in the catbird seat right now. If you're working with hospitals around the country, you have a life-changing opportunity here to refer over people. All you're doing is saying that, basically making a connection with introduction to a decision maker, and we'll take it from there. As far as there being a conflict of interest, I'm not really sure. If you were, for example, providing services that would put them at conflict, but we're basically helping them to get paid for their services. So on some level, to be honest, this is going to be about having a relationship with those decision makers. So if you can get through to that person, that's going to be the key thing. I think if you raise it to them and make the introduction, we'll pick it up from there. There's not much more you have to do. It's a fairly thin informational referral that you have to provide. The main thing that to kind of keep in mind is that we do need to be in touch with the decision maker. So not somebody who's a contact to a decision maker, but the actual decision maker, because we have to make good use of our time for that. Reagan, when our commission's paid, Alan just addressed that. This presentation, I have a request from Stephen to email the presentation to you. We won't email the presentation, however, we will be putting the recording online and you can watch it again, go through the slides, pause as you need to kind of review things as well. Have a question here from Dan asking for additional training. We may have additional training. We're going to work with this for a little bit, and we'll probably have an opportunity to have some follow-up questions eventually. In the portal, Alan, can you explain a little bit how the portal is going to work with that as far as like Q&A?
Yes. Every single Sequoia advisor, consultants, you have your own web page, and once you log into your back office, look to your left menu. There is a menu called training. Okay, click on training. You will see submit questions. So if you have any questions or whatsoever, click on it, submit the question to us. We will answer it. Either we will answer live like this, or we will put onto a video and post onto YouTube.
Excellent. So next question here from Elvis. Is this also good for senior housing and assisted living facilities? The filter there is potentially yes. It would be the issue is whether or not they're billing to insurance carriers or if they're billing through some other kind of claims process. So Patty, can you kind of address that, maybe elaborate on that issue of whether or not it's good for senior housing and assisted living?
Yeah, I was actually just responding to that in the chat.
Okay.
It is very good for that. On one hand, they operate on very tight profit margins. They also typically bill what we call CMS, and that's Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. And that's typically somewhat lower reimbursement. So they have a huge need for this. They understand the need for this as well. The dollar amounts that they're owed aren't as high as some others, but if you have a connection to any long-term care, critical care, escaping me the other types of sort of institutions, by all means follow them. They are easier closes.
Okay. And then I have a couple of questions here about naturopathic doctors and holistic doctors. If they bill insurance, yes, many naturopaths have issues with billing insurance for the certain services. It depends on if they're contracted to do that. Many will just do cash pay. Now, just to let you know also that we are able to help those companies, those providers that do straight cash pay. Many are sick of dealing with insurance and they just want to go cash pay at their clients, which excludes a large chunk of the market. We can help them to access a much larger part of the market. We can set them up with procedure financing. So if they're a good fit, we will filter that fairly quickly if they're going to be a good fit for that. But even if they don't bill insurance, we can still work with them to help finance their services. So in other words, let's say they have a procedure that costs $5,000. We can knock that down so that the monthly payment might be somewhere in the neighborhood of $300, right? Until pay that off. So that's a much easier pill to swallow than having to pay $5,000 out of pocket for something. So procedure financing is another aspect of what we have here available. Next question from Adrian. Does it matter if the doctor works for an HMO or PPO versus private practice? Yes, it does. Can we help both types of prospects? We can. So if they're in a PPO, they're billing their insurance carriers. If they're working in an HMO, the doctors for the most part are, relatively speaking, more technicians. They're not really typically in decision-making roles when it comes to the insurance, but they can make introductions to decision makers who are in the billing department and in that contracting department that might be very interested. So the person we'd want to talk to in the context of an HMO would probably be, as I mentioned before, either the CEO or the CFO or the CEO, CFO, or COO. Stephen asks, I think this program is 45 plus days to close. Am I correct? It's once we've done our analysis, they've given us permission to access the data. We've done our analysis. and they have done the debrief, and they've said, go ahead, we want you to go ahead and collect the funds for us. The clock starts then in terms of when we count. So there may be sometimes you get super cooperative folks, sometimes you get folks that are not very cooperative, or maybe they have some disconnects in the organization between the decision maker and maybe the person who handles the billing. That can sometimes be a source of some friction. But provided we get what we need to move it forward, it's about 45 days after they've given the approval to actually collect the funds for them. Let's see.
Well, I want to add to that
yeah.
we do offer an assessment, but it's really a sales tool that helps us, which in turn helps you. They don't have to do that. And if they don't do that, it'll accelerate the process and the results. And quite frequently, and the growing trend right now is to skip the assessment and just move forward.
Right. Okay, we have one more question here from Jesse. You have your hand up. You wanna go ahead and unmute yourself?
Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So I have a question. So we're living in busy times. A lot of these doctors and owners of the medical facilities are busy. If you finally get in touch with someone on a first name basis and that doctor is giving you 10 seconds to state why you're calling, what type of presentation can I give within 10 seconds to help them understand the value of what we're offering to get the ball rolling?
Well, first of all, you're going to have a flyer that you can hand them. Okay, so that's a leave behind if you need to talk to them. So that will help to kind of frame things. If you do have to give them something, you can give them a flyer, and that is very punchy. We'll get right to the point and help them sort of as they read it, it's going to be putting the finger right on the sore spot for them about their outstanding medical claims. I did have those quotes up, the questions I had before. So I would say you have to kind of decide which way you want to go. As you work with different specialties, you'll find that some are going to be more motivated by compliance. Some are going to be more motivated by financing. Some are going to be more motivated by, having a medical VA. Some are going to be more motivated by having the insurance AR. So generally speaking, if you go to, it can be a little tricky sometimes talking to people who don't get it. If you're not talking to decision maker, you can get put off because it's not in their interest. They're salaried. It's not in their interest to make the practice more profitable, right? It is in the interest of the owner of the practice or the lead doctor, okay? So the challenge is to get to that person however you can. That's where we are, right? So what I would suggest is that, if you have further questions about that, go and submit it into the portal. We'll respond back as best we can. We're going to combine those. We may have another Q&A session where we kind of review common questions, maybe additional kind of supplemental training for this as well.
And Jesse, I can add to that. No one can tell you what to say. It depends on your personality and then the approach that you want to do. You're approaching people with Sequoia now. I would recommend that same approach because that works for you. There's 75 people on the call. There's going to be 25 to 50 different ways of approaching someone. And so you can't go outside your personality. Stick with your personality. Whatever works for you now in what you're doing now, do that same thing. If it's a direct approach, if it's humorous, if it's friendly, if it's comical, whatever works for you, just do that. And you can't go wrong. When you try and utilize something that's not within inside you, it never works. So if you're somebody like a jovial approach would be, hey doc, would you allow me to help you put $250,000 in your practice within the next few months? Maybe that's what's in your heart and that's what'll grab their attention. Or it might be more pragmatic. Doc, can I have 5 minutes of your time to discuss a way that I can help you? It's whatever works for you. Whatever you're doing now, do that with this and you'll have success.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll start with my own position. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we're all different. So, we're going to have a lot of different approaches. There's 75, 80 people on the call. We all work differently. So stick with that and you'll be glad you did.
Awesome. So I'm going to go through a few extra questions here and then we'll wrap up, Alan. Next one is, can we do a lunch and learn similar to pharmaceutical reps? Absolutely. That's a great way to go. If you see the value to invite doctors in to do something like that, that's a great approach. If you're interested in discussing that, I think you can reach out. Maybe reach out to Alan. He can put us in touch. I can talk to you about doing a lunch and learn. Maybe we'll even do a supplemental training on how to kind of conduct like a lunch and learn overview for that. Next
Let
we
me
have,
jump in here. I'm going
Yeah.
to post Daniel's calendar onto our website. So again, if you want to talk to Daniel, Daniel is one of our advisors. So again, schedule a time with him. So please do not just pick up the phone and call him. I know that he's
Right.
very busy on the phone all the time. Please schedule a call with him. Okay, I will be. Our marketing team will post his calendar.
Perfect. Sounds good, Alan. Thank you. Next one, Alan just said, where do we get the, here we
Your
have Dave's
practice that's
asking,
not allowed?
what's that?
Is there a particular practice that's not allowed? Any particular practices? Chiropractors or anything like that?
Chiropractors are fine. They bill insurance. Dentists are great. I mean, there's all kinds of specialties. It's really the issue to ask yourself is, do they bill medical insurance or do they want to bill medical insurance? And if they don't do either of those two things and they're doing cash pay, do they want to be able to provide financing for their procedures, which is another way to kind of get in to help them. But the main ones would be if they bill insurance or they want to bill insurance.
So state-funded practices are not good.
Patty, you want to address that?
I'm sorry?
I never want to say anything is not good because we're generalizing. You know, some of them are good, some of them aren't. So my suggestion is, and what I do myself is we put everything in knowing that some will be outstanding and some won't, but we don't know unless we try. It's hard to generalize because I took a dermatology company public. Some dermatologists don't bill insurance. So I could say dermatologists are bad. But the ones that do are absolutely phenomenal. So I could say dermatologists are good. So don't generalize. Anybody that bills insurance, sign them up, because this is what I call toes in the sand, where you'll have money coming in while you're on a beach somewhere and your toes are in the sand and you're having a fajita and beverage of choice. And that's a great situation. That's why you're with Sequoia. It's the same type of thing. This just gives you another product. And don't forget, your doctor clients are going to become Sequoia clients. Your initial contact with a new Sequoia client might be one of these doctors. Doctors need money. They borrow money more than you realize.
That's
So
absolutely
this is
true.
going to feed your Sequoia business.
Right.
Vice versa.
This is in many ways, this is almost a very profitable loss leader for, though it's not a loss, it's a leader for Sequoia Lending.
Yep. Elvis, I see your hand raised, please.
Yeah.
Elvis?
By the way, Callie, I see you here. You had a question about urgent care.
I just answered that, but go ahead,
Those
do
are
it in the
excellent.
public chat.
Okay, yeah, that's excellent, Callie, is urgent care great. Yeah, Elvis?
Is the flyer available right now?
Audio is kind of hard to pick up. Could you say again?
Is the flyer available right now?
It is.
Larry,
Yeah.
as we speak, I believe the marketing team is actually working on the flyer. So please send an email to marketing@seclending.com. Ask for any flyers that you want. They will point you to a Google Drive that you can download all the flyers that Sequoia has. Okay. And also post the flyer on our Facebook page.
This is Elvis here.
Yeah, Elvis, go ahead.
Yeah, so in the past we've we've done some similar programs. And the one thing I always get brought up, and you guys brought it up earlier, is the CPA. I don't quite understand what a CPA's role is, and I kind of want to know, what is the relationship between us and the CPAs? Do we go to them? Are they our friends? Are they already doing this? Or are we the ones that are supposed to tell them about this? Because in the past, there's programs where I would pitch to potential clients and prospects, and they'll be like, oh, my CPA handled it already. So I don't know what that really means, if you can help in that area.
Yeah, I can kind of address that. So a CPA is going to be that, first of all, there's some confusion with a lot of professionals about what their CPA actually does. So most CPAs have kind of a backward-looking view, dealing with whatever transactions that happened previously. Some will be a bit more planning and proactively oriented, but most are not. Most just kind of are transactional in terms of handling books, taxes, and so forth, which are looking backwards, okay? The key thing about CPAs and tax advisors and tax attorneys is that they have clients who are excellent, they have medical clients who are excellent prospects for this program. So the key thing would be to develop a relationship with one who, and this could be a good door opener towards that relationship, to say to them, if you have medical clients, folks in the medical industry, we can work with them to help recover accounts receivable for them, those insurance accounts receivable. This is something that you're pretty much guaranteed that those accountants have no access to this kind of a service for them. So if you provide it to them, be able to provide it to their clients, it will make them look like a rock star to their clients, that they're looking ahead and looking out for them and providing more value. This is especially important because accountants, their industry is becoming increasingly generic. It's being increasingly commoditized and even taken over by technology. And so many of them are really looking for ways to add value and ensure that their clients see that there's more to coming to them than just having their taxes done or their books prepped.
And I wanted to add to that, also realize CPAs know what came in. They don't know what did not come in. And that's what our assessment does. It shows one of the dirty little secrets of this industry is what billing people do to protect their jobs and their livelihood is they'll write things off. So they'll bill $200, the practice gets $100, they write off that $100. So the accountant won't even know about that. We do, because we do the assessment and we go into their system and we see that. We go after that $100 and maybe we collect 40 of it. An accountant wouldn't be aware of that. But our point with CPAs is every medical practice has a CPA. If that CPA puts that doctor into our system, that doctor will be very grateful to that CPA for doing that. So what you're telling them is, hey, sir, madam, your client's going to be very happy they did this, and you're going to see their revenue go up 20%, 40% easily. And that'll give them more work, but they'll be happy because they're the one that recommended our service to their client, and that makes them look good. So it's not so much, and also I want to say, they don't do any of this. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the time, they don't have the experience. I don't know one CPA firm that's doing this. I'm also a tax attorney. I don't know one tax attorney that's doing this because it's highly specialized knowledge. As I said, we utilize AI. We have a staff of 1,200 people, not too many lawyers and doctors and CPAs have anywhere near that many people working for them. So the CPA, the attorney, they're your friend. Hey, do you have any doctor clients? Of course, sure. Explain to them what we do very succinctly. And the flavor of that conversation is they're going to thank you for referring them to, in this case, you, us, RCM Matter, and everybody benefits. That's the way it works. Just think about it. Every doctor has a CPA. You could Google, you could use AI and find CPA firms that specialize in doctors. You could find lawyers that work specifically with doctors. And they know the problem and you have the solution, and they in turn will look good for referring the doctor to you and then in turn to us. So that's how you use the CPAs and lawyers.
I would add one more thing to that, Patty, in terms of thinking as kind of as a chain reaction. So if you have a doctor, and let's say you start with a doctor or a CPA. Once you've done one of these, if you have a doctor you've worked with and you say, "Can I talk to your CPA about what we covered?" That CPA is going to have their mind blown that you were able to do this, and it'll open up lots of other relationships with their other clients. If you start with a CPA and do that with one, again, now they have reason to kind of propagate that to other people, right? So this could be something that once you kind of set it in motion with the CPA, it could actually easily unfold to like many, many more leads, deals, and business opportunities.
And that leads to another point. As a segment of business, doctors refer to other doctors. You know, if you're working with like an HVAC company and you do something for them, they may or may not refer you to their colleagues because they might not even know them. Doctors know other doctors. They golf with them. They went to school with them. They're in medical associations with them. The point is doctors refer. So if you, on average, if you get 5 doctors, you're going to get at least 2 referrals, and ask them for it. I don't think anybody on this call is bashful or shy. Ask them. And hey, you know, doc, do you know anybody else that might use this service. They're not going to offer it unless you ask. So you're going to generate business that way. Additional business.
So,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, that is what the Sequoia platform it's all about. Ever since the beginning, we tell everybody that focusing on what? Focusing on real estate agents, loan officers, and one particular one is what? CPAs. Focusing on CPAs. And now they might not see when you go talk to a CPA, they might not want to refer their clients to you, but let them know that, hey, I have a Sequoia platform. Hey, join the Sequoia platform. CPA, Mr. CPA, Mrs. CPA, you do your own deal. You refer your own deal to the platform. You get the commission out of it, but what do I get out of it? I got the override from it. So again, either way, however you want to do it, that's what Sequoia's platform it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. So today, the time is up. We already passed the hour. Well, again, thank you so much, Daniel and Patty, for a wonderful presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, if you think this is exciting, yes, it is exciting, but wait until you see next week. Next week, we have another more exciting product coming onto our platform, also presented by Daniel right here. So again, please come back next week to find out what we have. Now, guys, I don't want you to get so excited about overwhelming. Let me see what fill up the pipeline. Every single week, we have products right here to show you what's going on out there. How do you build your business, so on and so forth. But what good is it if you do not utilize the knowledge that you learn and benefit yourself? You can come here every Wednesday night to learn, to come to the meeting. I don't want you to become a professional meeting attendee. Okay, I want you to come here to learn and utilize the knowledge and turn the potential knowledge into kinetic energy. Turn the potential energy into kinetic energy to make money for yourself. Okay, guys. So again, thank you so much for another episode. And this, just like any other training, this will be is recorded and will be posted to our YouTube channel. Next week, I challenge every single one of you. Do not come here by yourself. This is the value of Sequoia platform. Don't just come here by yourself. Bring someone else that you think that can benefit from this Sequoia platform. Bring them onto this and just take a look at what we have to offer. Okay. So until then, thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful night. And I see you next Wednesday night. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.